Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Archontou here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. So happy to have some time with you today on this Thursday, August 19th. Maybe we're having lunch together. I don't know if you get if this is that time of day for you. But grateful to just have some time and share some information about an important upcoming event that is focused on a very important issue that the YWCA of Northern New Jersey has been working on and supporting. And so we wanted to make sure that we brought it to you so you could mark your calendars and join us. I have very proud member of a steering committee that's been working closely with our two guests today and a much bigger group as well, talking about the Caring is Essential event, which will be taking place outdoors with social distancing at Montclair State University on August 26th at 10 a.m.
At noon.
Oh, I'm sorry, at noon. I've got 10 a.m. in my head. At noon. On August 26th at noon. And the goal of this forum is to build awareness around the topic of caring and caregiving. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that is, because sometimes there might be some question about, who exactly we're talking to. And that whole concept of a caregiving economy. We want to ensure that there is a robust paid family and medical leave program that is going to be in place, as well as we're going to be talking about other key areas of concerns that we would like addressed at the federal level. And we're thrilled that so many people are interested in this topic and will be coming together to talk about it. But today I brought you two of the key players in this conversation for us here in New Jersey. I have my esteemed colleagues, Yarrow Willman-Cole, who is the Workplace Justice Program Director of New Jersey Citizen Action, and Cecilia Zalkind, President and CEO of Advocates for Children of New Jersey, which most people call ACNJ. So, you just stick a little, rolls off the tongue just as well. I'm going to give you a little background on both of my guests today, who both have been on YWTV before. So if you frequent the program, you're familiar with them from sitting with us here. And then we'll jump into it. So we'll start with Yarrow. She is the Workplace Justice Program Director at New Jersey Citizen Action, and who coordinates the New Jersey Time to Care Coalition. The coalition advocates for policies that help New Jersey working families take time to care for themselves and their loved ones without risking their jobs or a day's pay. Yarrow is one of the most passionate advocates I've ever worked with. She's got energy and tenacity that we all need for every issue that we're going forward on. So grateful that we have her working with us on these issues. And we also have with us Cecilia Zalkind, who for the last 25 years, has had leadership positions with ACNJ, an agency that works with local, state, and federal leaders to identify and implement changes that will benefit New Jersey's children. She has helped produce key policy and advancement in child welfare, early care, and education and health in New Jersey. And her organization, which she is a CEO of, and she is just a supreme advocate, for everything that falls under the umbrella of her work. So grateful to have you with us. I'm always in awe of all the great work that you've done for us in this state. We have so much to thank you for, Zeal, for sure. So thank you and welcome to both of you. So happy that you could join us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Helen.
So before we kind of talk about the event, let's talk about what the care economy is, because that might be a term that I know sometimes we use terms in our world, but the greater world may not be as familiar with them, and they may be wondering, am I part of it? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So
great. I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please. Just a little background on what that is, and then we can jump in a little further.
Yeah, I don't think it has, one definition, but I would describe it as really everything that caregivers do that underpins our main economy, right? And it just keeps all other work going. So parents, a lot of mothers, now, what we've seen with the pandemic, a lot of them have had to drop out of work, stay at home, care for children, family before the pandemic who have had to care for other family with developmental or intellectual disabilities, loved ones with serious illnesses, aging parents. And it's also our care workers, right, who work outside for the home for pay. So teachers at daycares, schools, healthcare workers, home care workers, domestic workers. And I think it is important to actually recognize that women of color do make up the majority of this care workforce. And really during the pandemic, they've had to risk their own health and safety to provide these essential services. And they often are paid lower wages and poverty wages with few benefits. So also just like generally our care economy is our care infrastructure. So that's like the systems, the programs that we have in place, facilities, financial supports, home and community-based services like workplace supports, public policy like paid leave. Care is just at the center of our families and our communities and our economy. And we have like all these layers really that keep it going.
I guess I would just add, I think it's a great description. And I think it's very important that caring and economy are linked together. Because when you talk about the caring professions, talk about parents who work in those professions and staff who support parents' ability to work, you're the backbone of what keeps our economy going, especially for women who I think face additional challenges in work, trying to balance caregiving role with a work role. And I think that more than anything, the pandemic has highlighted how important this is, but has also pointed out the long-standing flaws in this infrastructure.
Yeah, this is just one more of those places, right, that we've seen that this time has really put a spotlight on something that we knew was broken before. But, here we are, during this time and really watched our systems crash and burn because they really were never strong and so in place. And I appreciate the detail around what care economy is, because I know sometimes when we think about care, we maybe think that it's about just children, or we think about it's maybe just seniors, and don't always like pin that it is really a whole continuum across the board, that there's a lot of different different places that we provide that these roles are necessary and needed. But without anyone in these roles, we really would be at a loss if we didn't have folks stepping into them. So let's spend a minute talking about what kind of investments historically we've seen in our care economy versus what we would like to see, moving forward. Because I know that, as we've, shared, it was never working. It was never really, in place. And here we are now trying to put more in place. And this time has helped us in some ways, really express the importance, and people feel it and understand it a little bit differently.
Yeah, it's definitely brought it to the forefront. I think the crisis that we faced in our, the cracks in our caring infrastructure were kind of hidden, or a little niche area of advocacy almost, right? But it's just been laid bare by the pandemic. And it's clear, especially, when you look at this as a global pandemic and you see what's happening and some of the supports in other advanced countries, it's clear that our care infrastructure in the US is just underfunded, inadequate, inequitable, and it just doesn't meet people's needs normal times, but especially during, really crisis times. And it really just blocks not only our recovery from this crisis, but it prevents our long-term economic growth. It means that people who need to be part of the workforce, oftentimes women, are kind of forced to drop out and not earn that wage that their families do rely on. I mean, people have to understand the financial stability now is about having, as much earnings as possible. It's not something that most families can afford, to have one person just drop out of the workforce. And, for single parents, it's a huge problem when they aren't able to take paid leave or paid sick days or find affordable quality care for their children. I mean, there's so many places in which we see that we're starting to fall apart. We really need to have a solution that isn't just a temporary one, which Congress did, address some of the during the pandemic. It did address some of the missing pieces through some temporary supports, right? But what we really see now is the need to make these permanent and real, robust investments so that we can have true, support for families to meet their caring needs.
I guess I would add to the description the word undervalued, because when we talk about the care economy, and I'm thinking specifically about childcare, this is a profession that is essential, right? It supports the healthy growth and development of our youngest children and also allows parents to work. And yet you have a workforce that has really been underpaid and undervalued. It's only recent changes in New Jersey that have raised the minimum wage, or on a pathway to raise the minimum wage, ensuring that family childcare staff receive that. That's not sufficient, not sufficient to support them. And what we're seeing is that people are rethinking their role in this economy and looking at places that offer them more. Talked to a childcare provider recently who said, I used to compete for staff with other programs. Now I'm competing with Costco and Amazon because they're offering a higher wage. They're offering health benefits. They're offering educational opportunities. Those are the basics of a strong job, which childcare staff has not had. And I think we have to wake up and acknowledge that we need to value the staff. We need to help preparation and ensure compensation so we have that strong workforce that's been described as the workforce behind the workforce. And to Yarrow's point, I think we have an incredible opportunity now because President Biden and Congress are interested in these issues. This is a chance to really step up and be clear on what we need.
So we need to step up and be clear in what we need. So what is it we're asking for? I mean, we have this event that's planned, and obviously there's a whole focus behind it. What is it that we are, pulling together, and what is it we're asking for?
Yeah. So as Seal mentioned, and I'm sure she can add, but we need investments, robust investments, right? We don't want to just do something small that isn't going to really be equitable, because we want to ensure that all these policies that are going to help families and caregivers, don't replicate systemic racism, classism, sexism, and that they truly are going to meet the needs of everybody and be truly equitable. So things like passing paid family and medical leave, right? So we have a program here in New Jersey, but we don't have a federal program. So for example, we have a family who the father worked in New Jersey. He was able to take paid family leave to bond with the new child. The mother worked in Pennsylvania, so she had to return to work and take unpaid leave, really, stressing their finances. And so we need a federal program. So passing family and medical leave at the federal level is huge, especially because we're one of the only countries in the world. And we need to expand also home and community-based services for older adults and people with disabilities. So this is really investing in those care jobs. And then also just looking at, the benefits that care workers need, such as paid family leave and other supports. And then investing in our quality, in our childcare systems, which I'll let Seal talk about more. But just recognizing that, care work is important work. It's not only important for our own economy so that we're able to really thrive and, recover, but it's actually, because there is a lot of discussion right now, what is being negotiated in Congress around climate change. Care work is life sustaining for people, for the planet. And it's also work that mostly women do take on. So we need to recognize that it's not one or the other. We need to do it all. We need to do it. We need to do everything that's really going to help our planet and our economy grow and be healthy. And what we have seen, as Seal mentioned, is that Congress, the Biden administration has put together a lot of these in a Build Back Better package, which has some other aspects that we don't really get into in the framework of the caring economy, but that are really important as well. And it's through the process of reconciliation. And so that's something that we're hoping to see happen. We're in the period of recess. There's a lot of negotiations happening. a lot of politics, and we just need to keep the message clear and at the top of everyone's mind that this is about our families, this is about our health, this is about our well-being, and that caregiving is a core of being what it means to be human. So that's what we're asking.
Well, that clarifies it for sure. So let's talk a little bit about the event itself. What's planned and what made us come together and decide to offer it.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially as I said, that we're in a recess so that we can actually hopefully get the attention of people in Congress that are our decision makers, our policy makers, have them join us. We do have a lot of support from our Congress people on a lot of these issues. It's time for them to champion and be the idea of how caring is essential, right? And so this event is going to be at a child care center, beautiful space in Montclair, the Ben Samuels Child Care Center. It's going to be open to the public. We're going to have an opportunity for people to share their stories, people from all different walks of life, different perspectives, and free ice cream because it is the end of the summer. And there'll be, places for children to play outdoors again. It's a really lovely space. So we're really just trying to, again, keep an eye on this issue and make sure that it's front and center. And the information you can find at bit.ly, bit.ly/caring is essential. You can find all the information there. We're going to, the event starts at noon, but we really have our lineup of speakers. We're going to invite press to hear from folks around 12:30, have ice cream after that. And we're also going to have a resource, a caring resource fair so people can come and collect information and learn more about some of the services and programs that really help, people provide the care that they need to provide. So it'll be, I think, a really nice event.
I think New Jersey is very fortunate because we have representatives in Washington who understand the issues, who fought for these issues, but they need the ammunition to continue the fight. Yeah. And I think this event is important because it talks about the whole package, not supporting one aspect of the caring economy, but the whole thing. And it shares the kinds of stories about the importance, the need, and the impact that I think our representatives need to hear to continue the fight in Washington. So I think bringing this all together in one place, hearing from people who are most affected, the parents, the providers, caregivers, and other arenas is very important to publicize, to continue the drumbeat on this issue. Certainly getting national attention as people face returning to work, possibly in the fall, concerned about where they're going to find childcare, where they're going to find caregiving for other family members. It's on everybody's mind. So this is an opportunity to really bring that home.
Well, and for our viewers, we have the link here in the comments so that you can go right to it and register to be part of the event, get more details, and also share it. It's easy to do. Just copy and paste and send it out to your network. We did a virtual event. It must have been almost 2 months ago now. I'm thinking Yarrow, where there were so many stories shared. And the stories are so important because it really does give life to the issue. I mean, we can talk about the statistics, we can talk about the numbers and the policies, but it's not till you hear the individual stories that really, resonate for each of us, I think, about, why this is, just such an important issue and the vastness of it, again, because it's not just childcare, it's not just elder care, there's so many facets to it, and when you start to hear the stories back to back, you just realize how big it really is, and the deep level of impact that not having the supports in place, the repercussions that has ripples into people's lives, and so I'm so glad and thank everyone who considers coming to share their stories because they are so important. And we know that our elected officials make policy every day, but it's those stories that really fuel them as well. So they absolutely do need to hear them. So free ice cream, great playground. And I know this because my twins went to Ben Samuel's Center at Montclair State, and it's a beautiful facility. It's gated in, so the kids can run around freely. It's an open space so people can feel, safe, especially during this time, as we're having so many concerns. We want people to bring masks, right, and know that we are going to keep the event safe from that perspective, but we do want people to come share their stories, listen. What other action items do we want to leave our viewers with? I know everyone's not going to be able to make it on that day, but that doesn't mean that they can't be part of supporting this initiative and this effort. What do we want to leave them with?
Yeah, I would say actually go ahead and register. Even if you're not sure you can come, we'll be communicating with you some action items. There is some concern right now with some moderate Dems. One of them is in New Jersey. Okay, I'll say who it is. It's Representative Gottheimer. We are concerned about his position right now that could really make efforts around this issue, the caring economy and other pieces of the Build Back Better agenda, not be successful. And so, if you are in the representative's district, let him know that this is a priority to you. And so that's one kind of political kind of action, but it's important to know about that. And so we can be in touch with folks if they leave their email that way. We can also post it on there is a Facebook event where you can, we'll leave actions there. There's also a Facebook group for NJ Families for Paid Leave, where we post a lot of action items. You can join that, even just to get information about what are your rights in New Jersey to access paid family leave. You can find more on that Facebook group too.
I would also say that this is an opportunity to raise these issues on the state level. New Jersey received federal funding under the American Rescue Plan, some specifically for childcare, but across many issues. And this is also an opportunity to talk about how that funding can be used most effectively to support the caring economy. This is an issue that cuts across pretty much every state department, local jurisdictions, cities, counties. This is a chance to make sure that we are planning in the most effective way possible for that funding. It's not enough. We need to continue to advocate for more, but it is an important first step to strengthening this framework. And I would also add, I think the issue that has come up this week is on the child tax credit, which was extended for 1 year. It provides, I'm not going to call it assistance, it's a credit, it's funding money to families who have children. It has been described as the most effective anti-poverty measure that we could have. And it's not too soon to advocate to make it permanent. It should not just be for 1 year. And I think there's some focus on that this week in Washington as well. How can we keep up the drumbeat about that?
Well, I appreciate all that. Those are great action items. And for our viewers, I hope you were taking notes. If not, you can rewatch this broadcast and take your notes then. It's easy enough to do. I also encourage you to check out Seal and Yarrow's organizations and, learn more about their individual work, in addition to, thinking about supporting this event as a whole. There's so many important organizations in our community that are really the backbone of being the voices for people like you. And so, supporting them, learning about their work, volunteering, and donations are all part of what keep us all going as nonprofits. So please take some time to check them out as well and their work. So we look, and we're dropping the links in right here as we speak, like magic. It happens right into the comments for you. So you can check out New Jersey Citizen Action and ACNJ also, and go to their websites and learn more about their work. Follow them on their social media pages, and there's lots of action items that will always come your way so that you can stay involved. So thank you both for joining us today and helping shed some light on the topic and give us some information about the event and some other to-do lists items for us. For our viewers, again, please we ask you to take note. And also, we hope that you also take note for any of our BIPOC women entrepreneurs in our community. Please, we're getting ready to launch our second cycle of our Women's Empowerment 360 Business Essential programs. It's a free program that is a partnership with the Eureka platform to help support your business, and no charge at all. We had some wonderful successes stories out of our first cycle of it, our first cohort. And we also encourage any of our 10th grade girls in our community to join us to be part of our Girls Leadership Academy. It's a 10-month virtual experience, hopefully eventually a little hybrid. We'll see how the year goes. But a great opportunity to learn lots of evidence-based learnings, as well as meeting over 60 mentors for them over the course of those 10 months. And lots of other great programming. You can learn them all. Just highlighting one or two of them for you now by going to the link here. Everyone have a wonderful Thursday, a safe day. Again, please mark your calendars, and we hope to see you at Montclair State next week. So take care,
Thank
everyone.
you, Helen. See you next week.
Helen.